Hi, you're watching The Dawn Show. Dawn Stensland-Menti here. We are live and we are local. Thanks for joining us. This morning we're headed into the kitchen with celebrity chef. You've seen him on Spike TV's Bar Rescue. Chef Brian Duffy is in the house. It smells so good in the studio right now. You're going to love him. Plus, we're going to get a look inside a renovated historic home in Fairmount that it's part of a very cool new project that we're going to be telling you about. You're going to love that too. But first, we want to talk about a serious problem that is happening more and more in our schools, unfortunately, across the country. Many call it an epidemic. I'm talking about bullying. My first guest experienced bullying 10 years ago when her own son, Danny, was in high school. He was threatened and bullied by another student. Dimitri Pugh Edwards joins me now with her personal story. And really, I know you're hoping to help others who are in similar situations.
Yes.
Good morning. It's good to see you.
Thank you, and thank you for having me here. So I can just get right into it.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, and I was saying this to you before the show, when you Google as a parent, when you Google bullying, the words bullying epidemic come up. And many parents feel that despite all the anti-bullying education, it seems that the bully kids, because they know that the schools have programs, the bullies are getting smarter and bullying is actually getting worse.
It is. And so what I did back when my son was in high school, the resources weren't out there for parents to say, you know, what to do. But fortunately, I had worked with youth for several years in group home settings. And so I had the resources, mentally, the resources as to what to do. And his situation was, I was working part-time, and he called me and said, "Mom, these boys were chasing me with a gun." And I was like, I immediately got scared, but I was also very angry too, because my son is a good kid. He was captain of the drum line. He didn't bother anybody, so I couldn't think of why would they choose him. And I said, well, he chose him because he wasn't a threat. So what I did was
because they know he was a good kid, in other words.
Yes.
And that's who they bully often.
Yes.
The good kids or kids who, because of their faith or who they are, might be perceived as weaker because they turn that other cheek.
Yes. So I can't remember if he went to school the next day, but I do remember I immediately pulled him out of school. I typed up a letter to the principal, to the school district, and I demanded a meeting with the other youth and his parents. And it took about 2 weeks. At first, they didn't even acknowledge the letter for the first couple of days. So I kindly took some days off of work, and I sat in the office. I was so nice to everybody. "Hello, I'm just waiting for the principal. How are you?" They said, "It's going to be a while." I said, "I'll wait." And I'll wait,
for you.
And I waited, and the vice principal came out, and I spoke with her, and I said, "Listen, Danny's not coming back to school until the situation has been resolved. Because if the children miss a certain amount of days of school, they held the parent accountable." So I didn't want to go through that, but I also wanted them to understand that I was protecting my child. So I was able to get that meeting, and when I met with that youth and his family, his mother had MS. She was really sick. And his stepfather, they were like at their wits' end. And because of my experience working with youth, it was like I gave him some counseling at that time, because I asked him, "Why did you choose him?" I said, "Because you guys didn't just pick on him, you guys threatened to shoot him, and that's a totally different, thing." And he said, "Well, I was told," he said, he was saying something about me. And I said, "Well, what did he say?" I couldn't remember exactly what he said, but it was something about Danny was a captain of the drum line. His job was to make sure that the other children didn't tamper with the equipment. So he had to tell the kids to get out of the room. And I don't know if he said it in a nice way or a mean way, but even if he did say it in a mean way, that kid knew that Danny was not a threat to him. So.
But what you found was, and because of your experience, that you ended up being empathetic toward the bully.
Yes, which is weird.
And a lot of people don't realize the bully kids are acting out.
Yes, which was weird. It was really weird that I just gave him some advice about how to behave in the future, not to let what someone tells you control how you react to a situation. I told him to be a little bit smarter. He had already been in juvenile detention, so he was like, kind of like standoffish. But I was able to get in, and he opened up. At the end of the meeting, he gave me a hug.
Oh.
And I was like, but that's a natural response, because most children are looking for guidance, and sometimes they will not listen to their own parents.
What do you think your son learned from that you reached out and were empathetic to the bully?
He was okay with it. He didn't have an issue with it. He just was like a little worried that, because I am a little overprotective, so he didn't want me to go in and, like, he's a boy. So he didn't want to be labeled as a mama's boy because his mom's going in fighting his battles. But I had to explain to him that this is a totally separate situation. This is not a schoolyard fight. This is a situation where it got worse. I had to really pull him out. It got worse because by the time we had the meeting, that other youth, his friends had gotten involved. So it became a point where he didn't know who his enemies were.
And he didn't have a safe environment.
Yes.
He was in danger.
Yes.
Now you're having an event.
Yes.
Wake Up Philadelphia.
That's right. Wake Up Philadelphia. It's called the Wake Up Philadelphia Anti-Bullying Fundraiser. And the purpose of this fundraiser is to provide educational resources to parents to help them help combat bullying. I just, I was explaining to the gentleman in the green room that I just woke up one day and said, listen, we need to do something about it. We can't wait for the government to provide these resources. We're all parents. We all have children. We have nieces and nephews. And every day you see someone either, they're going to Great Depression for it. They're committing suicide. So it's not just it's not a gender issue or a race issue or
it's everywhere.
It's every type. It affects everyone.
Dimitri, I just want to thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And I love the fact that you just, as a mom, you just said, I'm going to be persistent, but also now moving forward, you're helping people, not only combat bullying, but cope with it.
Yes.
And we don't hear about that balance. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
being
for having
here.
me. Thank you very much.
And your son Danny, I got to meet him too. So he's a great kid and does has a great mom too. So thank you. Ahead, an inside look into a newly renovated home that's part of a unique new project in Philadelphia. That and more. And we're cooking up something good with Chef Duffy right after the break.